Day 172 of the income stream. Welcome in. It is Sunday, which means it's just a casual question and answer situation. We're just chilling today, no specific topic. We're here to connect. I'm here to serve you. We have a long weekend this week or this weekend. And so tomorrow we're going to also have a somewhat chilled out day. It will be topic specific, but I'll make it fun and exciting and interesting, just like today, since Monday, most people are off and hopefully staying cool. I hope you're staying cool. It's a record-breaking day today here in San Diego, at least for a while. And I had to pull all the plants in from the outdoors and put them on the patio to make sure they don't burn to a crisp. And we're just doing what we can today to hang out, have fun, and chill. So welcome in. Let's have some questions answered and enjoy the show.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream, all while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Pat Flynn.
And indeed, a good morning, good afternoon, and good evening wherever you're watching the world. Thank you so much. Before we get to some questions, in fact, if you do have questions, feel free to ask them now. Just type in the word question in all caps, followed by your question. But I have to share something with you. Sorry, I just cut off the music. I found a tool that I've been using mostly to help me create blog posts. The way that we write blog posts on Team SPI is, in fact, I will dictate the topic. And I'll structure it, I'll still outline it, but I'll dictate it instead. And then I send that transcription over to my team to then take it and turn it into a blog post. And it's just much faster that way. We used to use a tool called Rev, and Rev is still great, although it can get expensive, especially if you have a human on the other end transcribe it, which costs $1.10 per minute. So, a 10-minute video will be $11, and that's kind of a lot of money, especially if you do this quite often. And so I found another tool called Descript. Anybody here ever use Descript or Descript? It's pretty fantastic because it will automatically transcribe what it is that you're saying. So I'm going to show you a demonstration right now, and then I'm going to blow your mind with something that is within Descript. And again, this is, I guess, the tool of the week that I can just share with you. So I'm going to go here to my computer right now, and here we are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit record, and you'll see this transcribe in real time, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to record, and I'm going to go, here we go. Hey, this is Pat Flynn. Thank you all so much for watching the income stream this morning. We are at episode 172, and we're just kind of understanding whether or not this thing can actually transcribe this with some sort of accuracy. And of course, there will be mistakes, and there are certain things like ums and weird pauses, but overall, it does a pretty good job of transcribing on the go. So there you can see this actually transcribed it pretty well. Hey, this is Pat Flynn. Thank you all so much for watching the income stream this morning. We are at episode 172. We are just kind of understanding whether or not this thing can actually transcribe this with some sort of accuracy. And of course, there will be mistakes, and there are, see right there, certain things and ums and weird pauses, but overall, it does a pretty good job of transcribing on the go. So pretty cool. It transcribes on the go. There are other tools that can do something similar, Dragon Script, and a number of you are sharing these things here on the chat, which is really great. But I want to take this one step further. In fact, we've used this quite often now for blog posts because I can just dictate this and send the file. In fact, it'll give you a link to share, similar to Google Docs, and I share that with my team, and they then turn it into a blog post. But let me take it one step further. Now, I'm going to not talk for a minute. I'm going to write for a minute. So here we go. Watch this. I'm going to select a new paragraph. Speaker. Create voice from Pat. Look at the lower right-hand corner. It says creating overdub. Hey everyone, if you're in the chat, let me just say that you're one of the coolest people around. Why? Because you inspire me to go live every single day. Thank you for that. To go live every day. But anyway, do y'all see what I just did there? Yeah.
Bruh.
So what I did was I spent 10 minutes reading a script. In fact, Descript has this tool called overdub, where you can submit your voice and it will learn your style. It's not 100% perfect right now, but the more you submit audio, the more the automation learns your voice and the more scary this becomes. Just letting you know that this thing exists, and my goal in a video that I'm creating is to submit 90 minutes worth of stuff, because have had conversations with them, and I said I would love to experiment and see if I can actually type out an entire podcast episode without speaking and see if people could tell the difference. And there's even other things in here called styles. I can have Descript read the same part differently in a different style if I select, oh, this is my emotional style, this is my excited style, this is my curious style. And I can say, okay, this paragraph read curiously, this paragraph or sentence read excitedly. And my goal would be to see if I can actually write an entire podcast episode and have it happen. Now, this is a crazy tool called Descript. It's a transcription tool, but they have this thing within it. It's a little bit extra money, but it's called overdub, where you submit your voice. And this is really, again, really scary. I mean, imagine the implications here. First of all, what's really cool about this is I can come up with a podcast episode. I can actually put my audio file into here, and it will transcribe it instantly. And if I forgot to say something, or if I misspoke, I can delete that thing that I misspoke, and I can type out the thing that I was supposed to say, or add in the part that I missed. And because of overdub, it will add that in my own voice. So that's good. What's not good is if somebody else gets a hold of this and starts saying things that I didn't actually say. That's a little scary, right? So I'm experimenting with this. Again, this video that I have coming out, I have a 10-minute version, 10 minutes of myself uploaded, then a version of it sort of speaking as me, and it sounds very robotic, but it's kind of there. And then so far what you're hearing is about 20 minutes. And then it literally takes just a second. Bottom right-hand corner, generating overdub. The future is here, people, and it's very scary. What you're hearing is about 20 minutes worth of audio uploaded. Uploaded. There are some things that are, like if I do uploaded like that. Uploaded, let's try that again. It'll take a minute to... Now, I'm not sharing this with you to give you bad ideas, Xenia and Vlada. I'm sharing this with you because this exists, and it's something to just be aware of, and we have to be careful of, obviously. What you're hearing is about 20 minutes worth of audio uploaded. 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 It still said it uploaded. Again, not perfect, but I'm going to hopefully experiment with this video to see and actually just bring awareness to the technology and have an open discussion. That's what I want to have with this video. I'm not going to... sort of recommend that we all just start typing out our podcast episodes, because it's just not the same. What you type isn't what you speak normally. So it's not to replace that. It's just to experiment and also see if we can have a discussion about, well, is this even ethical, right? Is this even something that we should come out with? If I can, in fact, type out an entire podcast episode, that's a little scary, right? So anyway, just wanted to share that with you because it's a video that I'm in the middle of creating right now, and it's different, it's weird, and it's out there. And I think that just the videos I've noticed that I've been watching lately are ones where people are definitely experimenting with things. There was a dog, oh my gosh. There's this channel, a guy named Liam Christensen. Liam, I can't remember his last name, but he lives in New Zealand. And he has this dog called, his name is Max. He's a Australian Labradoodle. And he teaches his dog how to do things like play piano, how to play Minecraft, and just the process and the experimentation. I found that I'm hooked and have binge watched his videos because there's a start to the video and I sort of a hypothesis like, hey, my dog doesn't know how to play piano yet. Here's the 3-phase process we're going to do to teach him, right? And those kinds of things. I don't have that in my videos normally. My videos normally are, hey, here are 5 things you can learn about X, Y, and Z. And most people watch my videos for 5 minutes or less. That's just 50% of the audience bails before the 5-minute mark. And with these other videos where there's sort of an ending and there's it's almost like a I don't know, you just can't help but continue to want to watch to figure out what the results are, right? A good hook and then a result that you want to know one way or the other keeps you watching, right? So yes. Anyway, Kayla says, I'm going to be listening to each episode differently now, trying to find the typed one. Yeah, if it's a solo episode, then it might be one, right? I can't imagine doing this in a interview, just typing out my questions as I go. But yes, just bringing awareness of that to you. Anyway, let's put on some music and let's answer some questions. Cool. There we go, y'all. So if you have a question, just type in the word question in the chat. I would love to answer your questions for you. And I'm going to face this way now since we're done with that part and portion of the show. Today's going to be really hot. Like I said earlier, for those of you who came in late, I've been pulling all the plants outside that aren't supposed to be in 100-degree plus weather, Fahrenheit that is, and I've pulled them into the patio, given them some extra drink in the morning, and we're definitely staying inside today, and we're gonna hopefully have some fun. Tomorrow is my daughter's birthday, and we're really excited about that. Let's see, how could I use this for Ella and Luna for a YouTube voiceover? You know, that could be really interesting. Scooby, there might be a fun way to either hire a voice actor or what have you to maybe come up with a special voice that you can then sort of make their own, right? And just even 20-30 minutes of that person speaking or reading something can be uploaded to Descript and then can be likely something then you can type out to use as voiceovers in your videos. That's actually a really, really interesting idea, if that makes sense. Rhino Dog says, are you staying safe from the forest fire in your area? Yeah, we're actually a number of miles, several indeed miles away, probably 50, 60 miles away from the fire. But I did wake up this morning with ash. We have these 50% sunshades over our vegetables because it has been hot. And my son and I went outside this morning to help pull plants in, and there was white sort of ash over the shading. And my son goes, who put dandruff on this? And I was like, yeah, it's not dandruff. Jamin says, are your worms in the shade? Hopefully, yes, indeed. They're sort of always in the shade. Startup Flame, you choose different content for podcasts and YouTube or have some common content for both? I have common topics for sure. I never have the same exact content on both. In fact, I like to use one platform for what it's meant for. For example, podcasting, I go deep into the interviews and the stories. On YouTube, I go deep into demonstrations and visual related things about that topic, and then I can cross promote from there. GovKid says, how much should you give away for free, especially for offering courses? For me in particular, I try to give away as much as possible for free because truth is, even if you give everything away for free, people are going to still want more. They're going to want the hand-holding. They're going to want accountability. They're going to want access to you. Back in 2010, there was this thing called the niche site duel that happened, and I gave away the entire process for free. So number one, I was able to, in fact, make some money by giving away everything for free because within that free content was, here's a tool that I recommend, affiliate link. Here's another tool I recommend, affiliate link. And then even though I gave away everything for free, people still wanted the how-to. They still wanted to know, how do I do this? Can you do this? I'll pay you for it. I found the same thing with Will It Fly, my book. My book gives away the entire process for free, but people still wanted the online course version of that. And people will pay for convenience. This is the one thing I learned when I first started business. I had everything that people needed to know to pass the lead exam on my website, yet people were still willing to pay. And after 20,000 plus sales, not one person complained about that same information being given away for free because it was convenient, it was an investment, it was skin in the game, and it worked for them. So hashtag coffee scream. Coffee stream, not coffee scream. Happy birthday to my daughter. Thank you so much. Yeah, her birthday's tomorrow. Question from Mandy. Are there any words you use to name a membership? I'm brainstorming words that are a mix of action, moving forward, and leveling up. So mastermind's a popular one, although it's kind of overused in many cases in several industries. And Sue, I saw your super chat come in. Thank you so much for that. You're amazing. I will be answering that question in just a minute. Action, moving forward. It's going to take some creativity. It's going to take you going into the thesaurus. It's going to take you writing down a bunch of ideas on Post-it notes. It would just behoove you not to do that, because that's how you get all the ideas out. And once you get all the ideas out, you're then able to sort of mess with them and mix them and move them around and see what works and what doesn't. To name a membership, though, I mean, yeah, I would just see what other people are doing. How are groups of people coming together? Events might be a great place to look at for inspirations. So that could be cool. We are going to be streaming tomorrow with Kai on her birthday. That was one wish that she had, that she could go live. So maybe you might want to watch. But that might be kind of cool. I'll give you more information about that tomorrow. Let's see. Carlos says, is a podcast really worth the time, or should I dedicate all my time to my YouTube channel? I would say if you're just starting out, pick one. In fact, if I had to choose one over the other and I already hadn't started a YouTube channel that I know I needed to focus on, I would just go all in with podcasting. Honestly, podcasting to me is still, we're in the early days. There's still about 1 million podcasts only versus 43-ish million active YouTube channels, 500 million active blogs. The fact that it's continuing to grow even faster, there's a lot of new money being put into the space. I mean, there's just huge opportunities. Plus the fact that people would listen to your show much longer than they would watch a video. Just that's the nature of the listening behavior of people and the watching behavior of people. So I would say podcast number one. However, you can absolutely build a successful YouTube channel. If you already have one of those and you've gotten even an ounce of success there, I would just continue to go forth with that. And the truth is, if you focus your energy on both, it's not going to work out, because you're not giving either of them a chance and the love that it's required for it to succeed. Sue, thank you again for the super chat. Changing a successful challenge into a course. How long should a sales page be for a low-priced program? There's no specific length that makes sense that is for a cheaper versus a more expensive. I've seen very short sales pages for expensive things, and I've seen very long sales pages for cheap things. And I think the sales page needs to do its job. That's what it needs to do. However long that needs to be, that's how long it needs to be. And by job, I mean really hooking people into understanding that this is something that can solve their problem, understanding what the product is about, understanding who you are and your authority and how this has already helped people, so testimonials, proof, etc. Any bonuses that might be required, I would say just make it as long as it needs to be. This is usually my answer for anything with how long should my podcast be? How long should my video be? How long should my book be? As long as it needs to be to give what it is that you need to give. And I'm sorry, that's, I know, a cop-out answer, but that is the truth. Xenia says, can I post my blog post on Medium and on my own website at the same time in terms of duplicate content, not SEO? Yeah, I mean, you could totally and absolutely do that. There's no really downside to that other than maybe your Medium channel might actually take off more. But either way, you might actually build an audience there too. In terms of duplicate content, I mean, there's the only reason that's a thing is because people were posting multiple pieces of blog posts on different places, and what happens is if there's one that sort of outpaces the other, it can push the other down, but I don't see that really happening here. There's a lot of implications for duplicate content when it comes to SEO, but a lot of those things are mostly myths, to be honest. By the way, did any of you see my recent Reels? I've been experimenting with a lot of YouTube Reels lately, and I invite you to check out my Instagram. For the last 3 posts, have done Reels and been having a lot of fun being creative in little spurts, Vine-like, TikTok-like videos. And there was one in particular that hit really hard for podcasters that I just came out with. If you want to check that out, you can. Destiny says, I don't recommend this. Well, you said for not SEO, but Destiny, would you like to explain a little bit more about why you shouldn't repurpose your blog posts into Medium posts? I'd love to hear your opinion on it too. Let's see, adding sound effects soon. Would you recommend a paid subscription? Which one? For sound effects, not necessarily, unless you think you're going to be downloading a lot and you'll need these credits all the time. I would say just download the individual sound effects that you might need. Maybe just a little bank of them on audiojungle.net. Jamin says, is there a budget-friendly version of your ice light? I would say a ring light can work really well. There's all kinds of ring lights. Ice light is a specific brand. There are likely sort of versions of this ice light that you can see behind me. And I use that for a trim light. As you can see, there's sort of a nice outline here of me. It helps me stand out from the background a little bit more. If I turn this off, it gets a little dramatic, as you can see. Now I don't quite stand out on this side. The ice light is pretty cool, but it is kind of expensive. It's like a couple $100. So there are potentially comparisons out there, I'm sure. And if not, maybe just look up ring light, because it'll achieve the same effect with the LED sort of pointed in one direction, if that makes sense. Question, where do you host your websites? What type of hosting do you use? So we use Linode, Linode, and it's one that my server guy on my team, who has been helping me out since 2013. In fact, he came on board after my website was hacked on a VPN that I had. It wasn't Bluehost. In fact, Bluehost I've had more success on than that other one that I upgraded to. So yeah, after that happened, he came on and he helped me, and he recommended Linode on with Cloudflare, and that's sort of what we're using. All right. Abhishek says, how do you use tax law for products according to operating country or according to selling country? This is something that I cannot answer. I'm not an accountant or anybody who is professional in that sort of manner. In fact, I hand a lot of that stuff off that I have to deal with, both on, or in fact, for all my businesses, to other people who just are more knowledgeable about that. If you are in a different country than the US, then I'd recommend finding somebody in your country who has experience with internet marketing and sales online, which many accountants and CPAs do now because it's just what it is. But that's what I'd recommend. I unfortunately can't answer that. Let's see, which is why Power Podcasting is so amazing. Let's see. I don't think Pat said behoove yesterday. In fact, I did. I can guarantee it happened right at the end. Pat would just like to thank you and everyone here for their wishes yesterday. Ended up in the hospital just to be safe, but all good. Spring has sprung in Oz, and this means up the medication. Peter, I'm glad you're okay. Happy to help, and just I'm going to continue to be here for you. So we're here for you. Just stay well, please. Lewis says, hey, Pat, have you ever been struck by a negative SEO or had an online business friend get struck by it? It sounds too easy for a competitor to implement and ruin your rankings. I'd love, Destiny, if you're here to speak on this as well, because this is something that, Google's always trying to combat and fight, but it is something that can happen. I've had it happen before, in fact, with my security guard training website. Because it was such a public experiment, I had somebody outrank me purposefully, doing some negative SEO for me. In fact, what they did was they created link networks that were about irrelevant and from low authority websites. They just literally just linked to my website to derank it, and then they came up top. And what they did is they bribed me. They said, hey, we'd love to give you your rankings back, and we can actually sell you this other website for $100,000, or else we're just gonna stay on top of you here. And people like that out there exist. And eventually I just, I said, thanks, no thanks, but this isn't that important to me. And because of that, this person deflated the entire situation, eventually stopped working on that site. Good try, mister. Anyway, yes, it could definitely happen. And unfortunately, this is just part of the situation. We have to do what we can to also, beyond SEO related things, build that email list and build that trust, build those super fans, so that even if something negative like that were to happen, you can still stay afloat. And this is why email lists to me are one of the most important things. Cool. And Jason says, how does one create an online community as a therapist with my clients where confidentiality is required? I would say that there could be a platform where you could have, and you'd have to be very explicit about this, Jason, the fact that, any advice given from you cannot happen in that sort of format, that it only happens either on the one-on-ones or in the direct messages. But the public-facing communities where people can meet and connect with each other, that there's just, I think you'd have to write the right language and expect and have that expectation from people about you, that you're not there to help people. This is a place for people to connect with each other. There's no reason why you wouldn't be able to, as a therapist, I would imagine, invite people over for dinner, right? You just have to be sure to not explicitly sort of give advice to people about their certain situation during that time, and also have people be aware of each other's situation too. I think you can have it become sort of like an encouragement community, a place to connect about things outside of that particular subject, or ways to sort of maybe have people share ideas with each other, but not explicitly give advice to that, if that makes sense. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so I would definitely recommend finding somebody who knows for sure. Terrell, thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. Appreciate you for that. Thank you. I've been able to create a real side hustle thanks to your knowledge and business philosophy. It all starts with serving others first. Thank you for being my online mentor. Yo. Bruh. Thank you so much for saying that. I think that inspires so many other people here. Destiny says, this is not true. Do not post the same content on Medium. Can you post, and Destiny and Boris behind Destiny is in the SEO field. So can we post similar content? Can we take and use maybe one piece as inspiration for the other? Is that okay? How do I say no to opportunities without sounding like a jerk, says Paul. Paul, by the way, good friend of mine, somebody who's helped inspire this particular income stream back in the early days when we were learning how to set this up for live and actually broadcasts that could be scheduled. So Paul, thank you for being here, and I appreciate your help. So how do I say no to opportunities without sounding like a jerk? I only have so much time and bandwidth, even if people come to me with great ideas, collabs, or software. I think the most important thing, Paul, and the way that I handle it is literally just being honest and not trying to make up anything. Typically I say, hey, this sounds like a great opportunity, but right now I just don't have the capacity to do it. And the way I frame it typically after that is, and if I were to say yes, I would want to make sure I could give it all to you, that I could, do my part. And I just feel like I wouldn't be able to do that right now. And now it's that person who has to understand that, okay, well, maybe this is a good idea, but it's not the right time right now. That's kind of how I deflate the situation. Even if they're very adamant, I just, have to say, I'm sorry. I just wouldn't be able to help you in the way that I know I should in that situation. And that's typically how I deflate that. Great question though, Paul, because that's definitely, especially, and I know you having, and everybody should follow Paul for advice on selling on eBay, and he's just got great information. He is definitely somebody who's well known in his space, and like me, I'm sure, Paul, you're gonna get a lot of people asking for your time, your attention, some great ideas, some not so great ideas, and I think, typically you just kind of have to put your foot in the ground, because if you say yes to that, and I think this is where this question is coming from, if you say yes to that, you're gonna falter on other things that you've already said yes to, or even other partnerships that you said yes to. So you're in control. You're in control. And I know that you're a people person like me, and you want to make everybody happy. But if you were to say yes, you're gonna make them even worse off, or worse happy, if that makes sense. Less happy. Margot says, question, thanks for all you do. A big fan. We own a tea business. We supply to cafes and boutiques. Our niche is helping them tell their story. Where do you recommend we start with a passive income stream? I think the easiest way to create quote unquote passive income streams is, number one, realizing that there's nothing out there that's 100% passive, other than you sort of start in a movie and that movie continues to play, or who's the guy from the Mets who gets, is it Bobby Bonilla? I can't remember. The guy from the Mets who literally made a deal that forever, for however many years, he gets paid like a couple $1 million every year. Bobby Bonilla, I think. Is it? I can't remember. Anyway, to answer your question, first of all, passive income, not 100% ever. So there's going to be some upkeep. However, you can make things more passive in a way where you can see the systems that you have. So number one, discover the path to all the things that you need to do. What's required, who's involved, where are those things? So just kind of map out your entire process for your business, right? Number two, then you can look within that and go, oh, this can be done by a software, or these things can be compiled and done in a much more shorter period of time, or this can be done by other people, or another person that I hire, or an intern or something. And by you removing the human element or your own involvement as much as possible, that's where passive income can come. It can come within the existing business that you have. The other part about this is to add on top of what you have in ways that are easy for people to get access to, probably with digital products in such a way where things can become automated And if it's a tea boutique business, there might be some interesting angle that you might be able to add on top of that. Maybe it's a poetry related thing and you have poetry for sale, or maybe it's inspiring stories that you collect and then put into a book that you can then start to automate and have be out there. And whenever you sell tea or anything like that, you can insert a flyer, let people know that this exists, or you sell it to them wholesale to then put into their own coffee and shops like that. So, yeah. Bobby Bonilla, he gets $1.6 million from the Mets every July 1st till 2030, right? Because of the Bernie Madoff deal, they had to restructure his contract when he quit. Yeah, pretty crazy. Mano says, when you forgot to press record, which I've done 3 times, did you do the interview all over again? 2 times I did, the other time I did not. The other time I did not, the person just wasn't feeling it and I felt bad, but you know, that happens sometimes. The other 2 times, the people, and in most cases, people will be understanding. One time and you can, you know, it happens. It's just one of the rituals of being a podcaster. It's sort of an initiation. And what we're talking about is my latest Instagram post, which is about how I once forgot to hit record. And I've, again, done it a few times. When doing a podcast, and how just that feels. It's like gut wrenching, right? Having spent that time, you've scheduled the interview and it's just like, I can't. What is a reel? Guess I need to look at Instagram. It is Instagram's literally copying of TikTok. It's Instagram's version of TikTok. Cool. Should be a blog that goes with your podcast, be a full transcript of the show, or a highlight of the topic and have other thoughts that relate to the topic. Should a blog that goes with your podcast be a full transcript of the show, or be a highlight of the topic and have other thoughts that relate to the topic? I would say the best case scenario would be both. The transcript allows you to, number one, provide a transcript for people so that in case they can't necessarily listen to the show, and I have a lot of people who are hearing impaired who listen to the show who much appreciate the fact that there's a transcript available and they still want to get the whole situation. Number 2, it does help for SEO, especially if you use a tool like fusebox.fm. I've been told by several SEO experts, and I'm sure Boris would agree, having a transcript of a podcast gives you just more opportunities for you to be found, especially for long tail keywords about that particular topic. However, I do like starting with the summary of the topic and some other interesting points to be more conversational and almost to sell people into, in fact, listening to the show. A lot of times people listen to our podcast for the first time while on our website, and the show notes can do a great job of selling people into clicking play. And once they click play, hopefully they then get interested in subscribing, and then subscribing elsewhere, right? Awesome. Software review. How do you get started as affiliate, as paid traffic or free traffic? If you have an audience, then obviously you can do free traffic or organic stuff that you can get. For example, SEO, if you've written some good reviews or blog posts or things like that, that could be free. But you can also have paid traffic, and paid traffic to specifically reviews can work. Paid traffic to products, yes, can work. But as an affiliate, just using this used to be the case back in the day. Roberto, thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. I appreciate you being here. Everybody say hello to Roberto Blake, one of my YouTube inspirations and somebody who I highly look up to, good friend of mine, legit as awesome as a human as he is on his videos in real life. Thank you for being here, Roberto. I'll answer your question or highlight your comment in just a minute here while I finish up this question. Back in the day, affiliate marketing used to be, and there used to be courses about this. In fact, I bought a course about this in 2008, which was go to a place like ClickBank or Commission Junction or Neverblue or all these other affiliate marketing networks, find a product with a commission that was getting so much volume, and then buying ads that would be popped up on Facebook or Google and just sending traffic through your affiliate link to go and purchase that product. And I sold, after spending thousands of dollars trying that, 2 products. So it does work, but I wasted so much money trying to be the, I don't know, person who does the arbitragee. I don't know what the term is, but the person who's just like, hey, customer, here's a product, you go. And what I didn't like about that is like, I never knew who the customer was. I never got access to that information. I was just making money. And then when I stopped paying for ads, I stopped having that opportunity. that wasn't cool to me. I wanted to have more control, because what if that company changed their affiliate program or ads started to change, which of course they did, and algorithms and whatnot. So now I'm into building audiences, and it's a more longer term game, but paying for ads specifically to drive traffic through affiliate links, especially for cold traffic, I wouldn't recommend that. Cool. Peter says, question, why Buzzsprout over others? Buzzsprout, the best, most supportive team. I love their history. They came from just providing audio services for churches, and then they discovered that there were so many other people that needed help that they branched out. Number 2, the easiest interface when it comes to a podcast host. So easy to get set up. Number 3, great analytics. Number 4, they are continually innovating, as opposed to other services for podcast hosting that are literally still stuck in Windows 95. One example of how Buzzsprout does this is something called their magic mastering, or their mastering magic tool, which is when you upload your file, it'll automatically normalize and level out everything for you. It's called their magic mixing, I think is what it's called, magic mixer. And that just is built into the system, like so cool. And I really love their pricing. Their pricing is based on the amount of time that you upload, not how many megabytes your file is. So I love that. And if you go through my link, this is a little shameless plug here, but I am an affiliate. I love Buzzsprout. They're my #1 choice for podcast hosting. If you go to smartpassiveincome.com/Buzzsprout, you actually get more time added to your account. And that's a special deal that you can only get from me. And they host your stuff forever, even if you stop paying or pass away. Wow, I did not know that part of it. That's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna try to pick up where I left off earlier, but I'm gonna scroll down to Roberto's comment here, because he left a super chat, which is super generous of you. Roberto, this month we are, and this is for everybody, we are in fact highlighting teachers this month. Teachers need help in this crazy time. I'm supporting teachers who are paying out of their pocket and have already donated over $2,500 worth of equipment and books and stuff through Amazon wish lists that they've given. And I just want to highlight teachers and thank them. And all the income that comes in from the super chats, all the income that comes in from the member fees here are going to be donated to teachers who absolutely need some help. So thank you for that, and thank you, Roberto. Roberto here says, I frame passive income as automated income. In a video game, if an ability is triggered without you having to manually cast the ability, it's called passive. Passive/automated income may have a casting or maintained cost. Indeed, I like that. Love the video game analogies. Thank you, Roberto. Roberto has some of the most popular videos about passive income, and he's continually updating, continually adding new value to the YouTube land here. So definitely check out Roberto if you haven't already. Good stuff. Francis says, I was wondering if the magic mastering on Buzzsprout takes care of guest volume being lower than the host. Yes, it does. It takes whatever audio is in there and makes them perfect for anybody, whether they're in a car or in on a walk or at the gym. Louis says, love the chat and Pat's awesome content. Louis is also Xavier. Juggling with both is a fun challenge. Love it. Cool. Let's go back up to where I was to see if I can pick up where I left off. It was quite high. A lot of great questions coming in today. Thank you, everybody. And I hope, again, that you stay cool. Let's see, going up, scrolling up. Trying to remember where I left off. Where are you? Okay, I might not be able to go there. So you're more than welcome to ask the same question again. But anyway. Oh, is it here? Thomas, here we go. Did you self-publish your books? Any tips on getting physical books printed? Yes, Amazon, in fact, has their own printing capability. It used to be called CreateSpace, but now it's with Amazon now. It's Amazon Book Publishing, or I can't remember the exact name. But any book that you have, even on Kindle, you can set it up in a way, it does take a little bit of work, but you can set it up in a way where you can now sell a physical copy of your book on Amazon. It just gets added to your Amazon sales page, and it becomes something that is now print on demand, which is really cool. The quality of those books are getting so much better. I had some quality issues back when it was CreateSpace, but the print on demand is so convenient and it's just so much easier to do than what I'm doing now with my self-published book called Superfans. I'm actually working with a company called New Type, where we have to order bulk, a bunch of them up front. And even though it costs like $2 to $3 per book, I'm still ordering like 10,000 copies at a time. And then that's what gets distributed to Amazon's warehouses. That's what gets distributed to Barnes & Noble, which I have the connections there through New Type Publishing, which you don't get on Amazon. You don't get into bookstores that way. You just get onto Amazon. But that's how you could do it pretty easily. LGF, hi everyone. Pat, do you use any app to create your reels on Instagram? Just Instagram. Instagram Reels has their own fun little editing platform similar to TikTok, and it allows you to select music, to add text, remove text, appear, disappear, all that stuff. It's pretty fun. Hey Pat from India. Thanks, Jaya. Appreciate you being here. I hear my kids screaming in the other room. They must be having a good time. What type of content calendar do you use? Brand name. We use Co-Schedule. This is a really cool tool that we use to allow the team to be involved all entirely with each of their little parts of each individual blog post. It all actually does integrate with WordPress as well. And it does allow you to schedule things ahead of time, to even write the social media posts ahead of time that go out after you hit publish. So Twitter, a tweet that goes out right after you hit publish, and then you can schedule another one for a week later and another one for two or 3 weeks later after that, and you can type them out ahead of time, and you can use templates for the same thing to continue that over time with new blog posts too. All right. Let's see. Okay, question from, I like it when you call me Big Papa. I realize you're still not in the food truck business, but do you know how that industry is doing under COVID-19? I don't. In fact, I've been a little bit far removed from it ever since selling that website earlier this year. And I know there's still food trucks around, but I know that there's also just this sort of weird vibe still with things happening in person. I do know that some of them have pivoted to more food delivery versus food truck vendoring. There's also some drive-through food truck things that I've seen in San Diego where food trucks sort of camp out somewhere, and then what'll happen is for a certain period of time, there's a big event that happens, and then now cars sort of pull forward into the food truck, wait a couple minutes, and then kind of get their food and leave, and people stay in their cars. So they're transitioning. They're sort of still sort of making it work in many cases, but I know that it would probably have had an effect on many in ways that are sort of not so good. Justin says, should I start my podcast with all the topics I like to talk on, or just one until I gain a good audience? By the way, you are a huge help to us newbies. Thank you. Thank you, Justin. I would say that pick a specific honed in niche, and within that niche you can talk about different topics. So for example, your niche might be fitness. If you created a general fitness podcast, it's not going to work because there's so many other general fitness podcasts out there. It's going to be really hard for you to compete. It's going to take a lot of time or something very unique in your show to have you stand out and be talked about. It's going to be a very long-term game. Not saying you can't succeed, but it's going to take a much longer period of time. If you focus in on a niche within that space, for example, it's all about gluten-free fitness, right? Like that's a niche in a niche. It's not just nutrition, but it's gluten-free nutrition for fitness and health, right? That could be one. Or it could be specifically men over the age of 50, right? That could be another one. And then within that niche, the reason that's important is because, as I often say, the riches are in the niches, or the riches are in the niches. And when you do that, there's less competitors, so you can become somebody's favorite much faster. You can share the right language that will have a person on the other end who fits that bill. They're gonna respond like mad. They're gonna be like, oh, this person, Justin's show is just for me. He's speaking my language, right? You want that kind of response to your show. And then finally, you are able to better serve those people because you're creating specific products just for them and you're not worried about all the other people, right? So going 1 inch wide, 1 mile deep. But within the, let's just continue that example of gluten-free nutrition, there might be gluten-free recipes, there might be mistakes that you might make, there might be certain workouts that work best if you're going in that diet, and you can talk about all different kinds of topics within that. So that way you have the topic specifically to have a person go, oh, that's for me. But then they can pick within that which sort of subtopic they want to start with, right? And when you launch your show, I would launch with 3 different episodes, all about different subtopics. That way a person might listen to and be interested in episode number 3 first, and then go 312 or 321 or 213 or 132 or what have you. And I would go from there. Cool. You guys are getting a little buffering today. That might be, I don't know, I'm hardwired in. Let me just do a quick speed check here. Live speed check. Speedtest.net. Let's see what happens. Go. Connecting. Okay, lots of ads coming in first. And it might be slower literally because I'm live right now. It's good feedback though. I'll wait for that to come in. I don't know what is taking so long. But again, I have multiple things happening at the same time right now, so maybe that's why. I apologize for the buffering. Let's see. Pat, is there a way I can do a podcast that I can save somewhere that doesn't go out to the public? Kind of still nervous about broadcasting. I mean, you can save them as drafts in any of these podcast platforms, Buzzsprout or Libsyn or what have you. So that's always possible, just like with blog posts. You don't have to hit publish, but I would say that every day that you save something as a draft is a day that you're not allowing other people to benefit from that. And so don't let your fear get in the way of you actually being able to connect with and help other people. And yes, it's going to be bad. You're going to be a disaster, but you have to be a disaster before you become the master. If you want to go back and listen to my first episodes, go ahead and do that. Find them on smartpassiveincome.com, and you can go from there. All right, we got it working now. We're at 91 megabytes per second download. It's weird because, yeah, that looks about right now. And as far as upload, pretty good. So this may be a YouTube or server issue. I'm not quite sure. Not bad, not bad. 93 down, 91 up. Cool. And probably the heat has something to do with it too. You know, there's probably gonna be rolling blackouts. And again, if you're involved with being in a location where there's just a lot of heat right now, and you are, experiencing rolling blackouts where it's quite hot, just try to stay cool, try to stay safe, Bits, not bytes. Megabits, sorry. Let's see. Let's go to some more questions here. I'm gonna scroll all the way down. I just haven't caught up yet. Don't let your fear get in the way of helping people now. That's such great advice when ego battles desire to serve others. Thank you, Grandma Goody. Let's see. Francis says, I suddenly launched my second podcast because of technical difficulties, and I'm kind of relieved. There are no show notes yet, but now it's up and scheduled. I will get to that next. Cool. No issues here. Cool. Thank you. Get them hoodies out in the fall. Wow. I'm jealous. I miss the cool weather. Diana says, how do you promote YouTube videos when just starting out? I'm a teacher here and plan on starting to make YouTube videos. Tips for parents while teaching at home. Love that, Diana. I think it's a very important topic right now. Number one, make sure that when you create these YouTube videos, you make the content great. That's going to be by far the number one thing that's going to help you. When you make the content shareable, you make it entertaining, not necessarily stepping outside of who you are to make it entertaining, but entertaining meaning you're helping people along and you are keeping them watching all the way through as much as possible. If you can start out that way and think about that, you're going to progress a lot faster than many others who just kind of go live without even or record videos without thinking about the hook in the beginning. How can you help people stick around and watch all the way through? Talking about the benefits of watching this video, telling people what they might miss out on if they leave early. Those kinds of things can go a very long way, because what happens is you don't have to have an audience. Everybody starts from zero, right? You will post your video up, and YouTube will, based on the keywords, based on the title, the thumbnail, and all that stuff, they're going to send it out to people. And they're going to essentially run tests. And depending on how many people see that video and then click through, that's sort of one variable that makes them go, oh, people are actually clicking this video. Let's send it out to even more people. And then what they do is, depending on how people interact or engage with that video, how long they're watching that video, watch time is absolutely key. This is why I said what I said earlier about the hook and keeping people watching all the way through. This is what will then encourage YouTube to send it out to even more people. So those sorts of things within the video are really important. I had already mentioned title being absolutely key, as well as your thumbnail. Those two things are the first and only things that people see before they make a decision to watch any of the content in your video. And then in terms of going out there, it might be a slow grind to start. MKBHD, a person who has over 12 million subscribers now, he created his first 100 videos for his first 100 subscribers. But I also know there's other people like Steven over at Solving the Money Problem. His first video about the Tesla Cybertruck was something that sort of put him on the map. It was, as everybody was talking about the Tesla Cybertruck being just the ugliest thing in the world, how it's going to ruin the company, Tesla was struggling at the time, he said the Tesla Cybertruck will make billions. And that was his positioning. And this video was really eye-opening because he had some data to go behind it and some really good points. And that video saw nearly 1 million views before YouTube took it down for whatever reason, and he had to create another one. But anyway, that put him on a map, and he's now just less than a year, or probably about a year, is now 150,000 subscribers. And each of his videos gets, tens of thousands of downloads now because it's very on topic. Diana, your stuff right now is very on topic. So that's how I would encourage you for that. Consistency helps a lot too. Topic, title, thumbnail. Definitely follow Roberto for a lot more YouTube-related strategies, but those things alone are definitely going to put you far ahead of the game there. Let's see. Susan says, I don't know how to talk about a topic that has been talked to death. Talk about it in a different way. Talk about it in a new angle. Sum up what all the other people are saying into something that's much more convenient for people, right? You're almost playing expert curator in that sense. Hey guys, I know everybody's seen me talk about this, or I know everybody's talked about this before, but I want to help you out. In this video, I'm going to share the top 5 ways that you should, prune and grow your tomatoes, because everybody's talking about this everywhere. This will be the one video that you need and nowhere else. How to promote email marketing tools. Do a demo video, show people real results. They're going to want to get the same results too. That's how I do it. Did daylight saving just happen in San Diego? It did not. If you're asking that because we're an hour ahead or an hour later, it's because I've changed the time of the income stream to be 1 hour later. And this is because the school schedule now matches up with this. So when the kids start Zoom school on Tuesday, because Monday is a day off, that's going to start at 9 a.m. Pacific. That's when I start too. So during that time, I'm going live, the kids are going live, both kids, and my wife's taking a little break. So Jonia says, what do you recommend to a teacher who just starts an online business, online teaching business? I would recommend not getting so overwhelmed with all the possible things that you can do, but find the 1 or 2 people who can inspire you, who are where you want to be. Find the 1 or 2 strategies alone that you can focus on, and focus on those strategies, and don't let anything else get in the way, right? Also understand that I think you want to build for the connections, not just for the content, right? You want to make connections and use your content to make those connections with your audience, and connections to other teachers who are also serving that same community. And that's where collaborations happen, because when you do collaborations, that's where you start to get in front of newer audience. I'm very, very adamant about, and I need to say this more, the fact that I believe social media is a terrible way to grow your business and brand. I think to get more traffic, essentially. I think it's a great thing for brand and recognition. I think it's a great way to amplify connections. It's a terrible way to get in front of new people. And that's sort of my statement there, if you will. This is why when people spend more time repurposing taking their podcast episodes or YouTube videos and chopping them up and spending tons of hours and time, then reposting them on social media. I'm like, you could spend that time making more connections with other people in your space, doing collaborations, doing more research for other kinds of content. Yes, marketing is important, but social media is not marketing, in my opinion. It's connections. Connections being the key word there. And that's just my opinion. Pat's book, Superfans, is actually a good foundation for how to truly grow an audience on YouTube and in general. Read it. Thank you, Roberto. I appreciate you for that endorsement. I like the new time too. I can eat my lunch with Pat Flynn. Yo, what are you eating? Let's see. Superfans is my favorite book. We're almost at 1,000 followers strong because of the mindset shift from reading Pat's book. Thank you, Boris. I appreciate you for that. Bernard says, would you recommend blog, podcast, or YouTube to promote a physical shop which is restricted to a certain small region? I would say that a blog can be great to start out with because it's simple, easy to take pictures, right? You can have SEO related content that supports those things. This is something that put Gary V on the map. He, with Wine Library TV, created also really amazing blog posts that helped him be found. And on top of that, I would say one or the other, podcast or YouTube. So the blog, meaning you need blog posts to highlight these products that you have. And this is a way for you to not just have a place to, sell your product, but a place to tell story or focus and even highlight your product in a different kind of way. But a podcast for telling stories in the space, connecting with other people, I think that it wouldn't be about the products. It would be about who this product is for. A podcast for who this product is for, then your product almost becomes sort of like the sponsor or the featured thing that gets mentioned every time within, or your brand at least, so that people can come to the website and see the product. Same thing with the YouTube channel, right? Deliver value. This is a good example of this is a guy named Gally from Hyperchange. Hyperchange is a software for people who want to learn all the deep analytics about certain stocks. But he has a YouTube channel called Hyperchange where he's delivering all this massive value about Tesla and Square and Spotify and all this sort of cool insider data. He does interviews, all these things. And every once in a while, he mentions his software. He's become a content platform that then becomes the platform by which his business is now being shared and shown. So that's how content plays a role, whether it's a blog, a podcast, or a YouTube channel. Gally is doing a great job. Again, Hyperchange. And then, of course, when he's sharing his thoughts on the future of Tesla or the future of Square or Spotify, he'll go into his own software to back up his points. And he'll say, hey, whether you get involved in Hypercharge or not, or Hyperchange, this is the Hyperchange software, and here's what it does. People go, oh my gosh, I need that software because I do this all the time. They go and get it, right? Similarly, if I was teaching online business, which I am, some of the most successful stuff that I've done to teach and show people products that I use is to, in fact, just teach for free how to go from here to there, how to build a website from start to finish. Throughout that process, here's a keyword research tool, here's a hosting platform, here's an email service provider, and I'm able to highlight these products, which weren't my own, but they could be your own, in that process that you're teaching for free, if that makes sense. Okay, I see something from somebody else, K-Walk, highlighting self-improvements. This will be the last question today because it's the top of the hour now. Thank you all for being here, by the way. Let's see. Okay, there's two questions I'm going to get to. So here's the first one. What would you do to promote a really small podcast with like 300 downloads using SEO? By the way, I love your stream. You inspired me as a 13-year-old. You're awesome. Bruh. 13, I wish I was doing what you're doing at this age, or at that age for sure. I was, in fact, on the computer, but I was playing a lot of Quake 2, in fact. If only I had learned how to maybe code during that time or create content. There wasn't anything that you have available now back then as far as YouTube and all these other platforms, so well done to you. How would you promote a podcast with 300 downloads using SEO? I think SEO, again, becomes something that you just need to worry about foundationally. Make sure that the titles of your podcasts have keywords in them. That way they are driven for humans who see them, who want to click through, but also for people who want to find this information elsewhere, like on Google or Apple, or if they're searching for certain terms on Spotify or wherever. So that's number one. Number two, I would say that make sure the description of your podcast is great and includes those keywords as well. Your description is where you have a lot of room to write a lot of keywords that can perhaps be found later on as your show continues to grow. The fact that you have keywords there is not going to make changes overnight, but SEO is a long-term game. I think you could potentially get more findability by doing two things. Number one, just getting to know who those 300 people are. What are their names? What do they need help with? Where else do they hang out? Get to know them as much as possible. Build that email list, connect with them, ask them what their struggles are, what are their challenges, what are their names, who are they, why are they coming to you? When you know these kinds of things, you can now create content that's more empathetic toward them, and it'll attract more people like them. And in fact, it'll help you become their favorite even sooner. You'll see that you'll have super fans when you reach out and make connections to these people in that way. And number two, along the similar line, is building relationships with other people in that space that you're in. So collaborations. You can by far get way more views, downloads, anything when you collaborate or actually be a guest on another person's podcast. So the fact that you're 13, I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm only a 13-year-old. I would be like, yo, I am a 13-year-old. It might be interesting for you to get on a lot of these other podcasts where they're talking to a lot of adults all the time about how kids behave or what is going through a kid's head or whatever, parenting blogs, psychology blogs, whatever. You can come in as an actual 13-year-old who can give advice based on your perspective and then get some love and get some stuff coming back your way, which I think would be really cool. So hopefully that helps, but great job. And keep up the good work. There's a question here from one other person. Okay, there we go. Kisor TR, if I'm not from the United States, do you think I should be focused in my country or worldwide? It depends. It depends on what the topic is. If you can create great content in your native language and you see that there's an opportunity and it's growing. I know a lot of people, for example, in Spanish-speaking countries right now who are crushing it because the Spanish-speaking countries are now coming into the podcasting space. They're coming into YouTube and creating content just for them. It obviously makes them feel more at home. It makes people on the other end feel like this is just for them when you speak in their language and you're creating it for that home country. That being said, of course, you can then expand or even do bilingual, but that takes a lot more work. I would start with one or the other. And again, if you feel like, and here's the answer, if you feel like when you create content specific for that country that it's going to serve them best, then do it that way. And at least to start. If you, for example, I know a lot of people who try to go and reach the entire world, but as a result of trying to do that and accommodate for all different people who respond in different kinds of ways and different languages, they actually don't make as deep as an impact on anybody. So that's kind of what I would say. Amazing as usual, busy on my treadmill. Wishing you all the best Sunday. Yes, everybody, wishing you all the best too. I hope that you have a great day. Stay cool out there. It's going to be a warm one for a lot of us. If you're on the East Coast and feeling a little bit of fall weather, I'm jealous. Wish we could hang out together and hang out outside by where you're at. But whoa, bros, sisters, you're all amazing. Appreciate you today. And come back in tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. We're going to have another chilled out day. We're going to have some fun. I'm going to come up with something that'll be a nice holiday-related situation since tomorrow's Labor Day here in the U.S. My kids are off, and we're going to be streaming. It's my daughter's birthday tomorrow. So maybe we can sort of push some of you to kind of watch and hang out with us later in the afternoon tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, today was super cool. Appreciate you. I'm going to turn off this music from, again, big thanks to Harris Heller from Stream Beats for allowing us to stream this music. Literally just a playlist on YouTube that I have playing in the background that is copyright free. So thank you, Harris Heller, for that. One day, I'm sure I'll be able to meet you and thank you in person or in real life. And woo! You guys are great. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and all the best. Yeah, stay cool. Love y'all. Take care, and as always, Team Flynn for the win. Thanks to Paul for coming in today, Roberto, every single person. I wish I could name you all. You're all important. You're all meaningful to me, and I cannot wait to serve you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Peace out, and as always, Team Flynn for the win.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream, all while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Pat Flynn.
Hey y'all, you're important. You're amazing. I love you. You are loved. You belong. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. And like I said, stay cool out there. Peace and love y'all. Bye.
Bruh.